Hola a todos, buenas tardes. Primero empezar dándoos las gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Es una sesión un poco especial porque creo que va a ser como muy técnica y la verdad es que intentaremos que sume a lo que todos ya conocéis. Yo no soy agricultor y en estos días al lado del señor Horsch, que hablaremos un poco de él, he aprendido un montón, demasiado, no seré capaz de retener todo lo que nos ha contado. Entonces, daros las gracias y contaros, ya conocéis más o menos muchos de vosotros quiénes somos, pero os voy a dar un poco más de información de quiénes somos, qué hacemos y qué hacemos hoy aquí y por qué. Primero, estamos aquí unas cuantas personas que muchos ya conocéis. Manuel López, que es el responsable del tema comercial de Compañía Maquinaria en Andalucía. Manuel Gallego, que ha estado también muchísimo en Andalucía y actualmente se ocupa de todo lo que es el negocio de alquiler del grupo ITT. Ignacio Pérez, socio del grupo, que también ha pasado muchísimas horas en Andalucía. Y luego ya tenemos a dos personas alemanas, uno el señor Michael HORSCH, que es el propietario de la firma junto a sus hermanos, una empresa familiar que entraremos en más detalle, y Johannes, cuyo apellido no sé si sabré pronunciar, Hottenbacker, que es el responsable, sí, que es el responsable de comercial de la firma en países como es el de España. Para empezar, sí. Un momento. Un segundo. Pues hablaremos de tecnología hoy. Hay otra anterior, yo creo.
No, es que no estamos puestos. En German. Ya está.
Pues el tema es introduciremos un poco nuestra compañía de forma muy rápida y empezaremos con la conferencia del señor Horsch y luego al final pues tomaremos algo para acabar el acto. Yo no sé si sabré mover esto, Ignacio. Sí, ya sí. El por qué estamos aquí hoy es porque el grupo nuestro va a empezar una aventura con esta compañía y hemos cogido la responsabilidad de introducir la marca Horsch en el sur, en la mitad del territorio español, digamos de Madrid para abajo. Y es un producto que ya iréis viendo cómo va y por qué lo hemos hecho. Y la razón es que nosotros tenemos mucha experiencia con ellos, tenemos compañías, concesiones en el norte de Francia, justo en el norte de París, en la Picardie, de las cuales llevamos desde el año 2014 trabajando con ellos. La experiencia ha sido muy positiva y hemos, hablando y trabajándolo conjuntamente, tomado la decisión de lanzar este proyecto conjuntamente, porque si esto funciona en el norte de Francia, por supuesto, puede funcionar en Andalucía. Entonces, también lo que decimos es que creemos que la presentación de este producto y la presencia del señor Michael HORSCH hoy en Córdoba es nuestro granito de arena para intentar explicar, enseñar y otras tecnologías y otras cosas otras formas de trabajar que están haciendo en otros puntos de Europa. Sigo rápidamente con la presentación de nuestro grupo, que, insisto, voy a ser muy rápido. La compañía nuestra, el grupo ITT, tiene una historia de más de 140 años. Fue la primera compañía que empezó importando y vendiendo equipos agrícolas en España. Se empezó en Madrid, luego en Sevilla y luego desde Madrid y Sevilla en Barcelona, cubriendo toda España. Como podéis imaginar, una compañía con una historia de 140 años ha pasado de todo. Han pasado 2 guerras mundiales, una guerra civil y la historia es larguísima, interesantísima. Fue fundada por un alemán, luego pasó a otro alemán, luego pasó a una familia de Barcelona durante 3 generaciones y más tarde entramos nosotros. Y entonces, hablemos desde que nosotros entramos, que hace mucho tiempo, pero especialmente en los últimos 25 años, hubo un cambio de rumbo. Veníamos de una España que tenía más de 25 años, estoy hablando ya, pero una España que importar material Era complicado, teníamos aduanas, teníamos aranceles, no era fácil. Yo recuerdo cuando empecé en este negocio en el 84 que nos daban cupos para importar aceite para los tractores que vendíamos. Entonces eran tractores Ford y tal. O sea, todo en un momento determinado España se abre y los fabricantes deciden instalarse directamente ellos en los mercados y ya no necesitaban la figura típica del importador. Con lo cual, hace ahora unos 26 años nos quedamos sin negocio porque los fabricantes vendían directamente y ya no existíamos nosotros. Entonces decimos, de empezar de cero otra vez, ¿qué hacemos? Y me alargo un pelín este punto porque para mí es importante nuestra regeneración. Empezamos de nuevo precisamente en Córdoba. O sea, de no tener negocio, tomamos la decisión de llegar a un acuerdo y comprar unas concesiones en Andalucía. En aquel momento la más potente era la de Córdoba, Granada y posteriormente hicimos Jaén. Ahora cubrimos la mayor parte del territorio de Andalucía, pero empezamos en Córdoba el año 93, por eso el nombre de Compañía Maquinaria 93. En este momento, desde este inicio en Córdoba, que yo aquí había pasado muchísimas horas de mi vida, vivía entonces en el Hotel Occidental aquí en la Sierra, y empezamos a desarrollar este proyecto poquito a poco, vendiendo, y gracias a vosotros hoy podemos estar aquí. La evolución de esta compañía, que insisto, hace 25 o 26 años arrancamos desde Córdoba, hoy estamos facturando ya 220 millones de euros, somos ya casi 450 personas, de las cuales el 70% están centradas en la postventa. Yo recuerdo cuando nosotros empezamos toda esta historia, vendíamos y una vez habíamos vendido, hacíamos lo que podíamos. Hoy nos dedicamos más a dar servicio que no a vender, porque si no damos servicio no podemos vender nada. Con lo cual, de los 450 empleados del grupo, el 70% están centrados en la postventa. ¿Y dónde están? Pues 338 están en España, 108 en Francia, 2 en Chile. Y tenemos 34 delegaciones, de las cuales hay 23 en España, 10 en Francia y 1 en Chile. Con lo cual hemos hecho, aparte de ir creciendo poquito a poco, hemos sido capaces, con la experiencia que tenemos del negocio en España, hemos hecho lo mismo en Francia, que no ha sido fácil, os lo aseguro, no es lo mismo, no porque sean franceses, simplemente porque llegar allí y adaptarte a todo lo que supone, no el negocio en sí, que es igual en Francia que en España, pero la manera de trabajar sí es distinta, sí las leyes son distintas, hay muchas cosas que hemos tenido que sufrir, pues bueno, estamos estabilizados, hemos aprendido y estamos muy contentos de hacerlo. Con lo cual, de pequeñitos que éramos desde aquí hace 25 años, hoy tenemos y a un nivel importante de volumen de facturación repartido de la forma siguiente. Tenemos 3 patas, la más importante que es la agrícola y que es el origen de nuestro grupo, otra que es la construcción y la obra pública y otra que es la de transportes. Nosotros intentamos trabajar siempre con marcas de primerísima calidad y la razón por la cual, yo siempre hago un poco la broma y nosotros vendemos cosas que el cliente, que tienen ruedas y tienen motores, pero que el cliente no suele elegir el color, no suele, digo, porque a veces hasta hemos cambiado el color de algún tractor. Entonces no tenemos nada en el mundo del automóvil, estamos centrados en un mundo más industrial y nos permite el hecho de estar en más de un sector, aprender un sector de otro, etcétera, etcétera. Esto es lo que estamos haciendo hoy. Poco más puedo añadir, repetir que estamos muy pegados a Andalucía, es para nosotros. Sí, añadir otro tema. Nosotros en Andalucía, cuando llevamos vendidos más de 1 de cada 4 tractores que hay en Andalucía, lo hemos vendido nosotros desde los últimos 25 años. O sea que en principio deberíamos de conocer a muchísimos agricultores de Andalucía. Porque hay algún año que hemos vendido 1 de cada 3, algún año que hemos vendido 1 de cada 5 y el promedio es este. Con lo cual, una empresa muy agrícola, una empresa muy situada y muy metida en Andalucía. Y ahora déjame que me haga un poquitín el chulo con las cifras que tenemos de tractores y las que vendemos de tractores entre España y Francia. Somos el concesionario del grupo CNH, que es el grupo New Holland, más todo lo que tiene, que más tractores vende de toda Europa. Este año superaremos los 600 y pico de tractores nuevos, con lo cual, bueno, teóricamente también deberíamos de entender muchísimo de agricultura, y por eso hemos tomado la decisión de que el señor Michael HORSCH nos acompañe. ¿Y por qué lo hicimos? Pues lo que os he dicho antes, estuvimos en sus instalaciones, y no sé si lo he dicho, pues lo digo ahora, nos invitaron, porque como trabajamos con ellos en Francia, nos invitaron, visitamos sus instalaciones, quedamos tan sorprendidos que le pedimos que nos acompañara para que nos explique su teoría y cómo ve la agricultura del futuro. Nada más. Repito otra vez, muchísimas gracias y os dejo a Michael HORSCH. Michael.
Does it work? No, it works. Thank you, Xavier, for the introduction. I hope everybody understands me. Do you understand everybody? Is English good enough? I'm afraid my Spain is not very good. No. I could trade English for German if you like, but probably this is even worse. So maybe I stay in English. Yes, you probably expect now today that I'm going to talk about machinery and paint and steel and why we are so good and so on and so on. I think right away, to manage your expectation right, I'm afraid I'm not going to talk much about machinery today. I'm far more interested in where we together are going in farming in this world. And this is what I would like to talk to you about. Before I do that, I would like to introduce a little bit my company first, very quickly, who I am and where I come from. Wait a minute. And I personally, I'm German. Really, I'm not German. I'm Bavarian. Maybe you know the difference. We call the Germans, we Bavarians call ourselves as the real Germans. You know, the other Germans are the sub-Germans. You know? So you know where Bavaria is. Bavaria is in Munich, you know, around Munich, beer drinkers, and we're strong people. Actually, we are the only free state in Germany, you know. So we have our own accent, we have our own certain rights, so we feel very privileged, very special, but that's about it. So anyway, that's where I come from. I'm a farmer, I'm a trained farmer. I'm the oldest of 5 sons and 1 daughter. My family has been in farming for many, many generations, mainly in southern Germany. And my father was a pioneer in the 60s in non-plowing systems. Basically, he stopped plowing. And it was not only my father, it was his brothers and a couple of his cousins. They were very aggressive farmers in the 60s after the World War, you know. The industrialization took place in Germany, and so all the large royal farms, or we call them royal farms, they couldn't afford the people anymore to work on the farms because they would walk away and work in the industry. So all of a sudden, there was lots of land, big farms sitting there, and nobody wanted to farm them. So this was a chance for my father and his brothers to basically get a hold of these farms. Mainly they rented those farms. They couldn't buy it, but they could rent it. And so then they grew their farm sizes in the 60s. Where I come from in southern Germany, average farm size in the 60s was 10 hectares. So they, in the mid-60s, they had around 300 to 500 hectares each of them to farm, which was quite a bit of land to farm. But then they learned rather fast, using a small 35 horsepower tractor and a 2-bottom plow, you don't get very far. Plus the land was lots of stones and rocks and heavy soils, and so they decide, we're going to stop a different way of farming, which we don't know whether it's going to work, but we try it out. We stop plowing. Everybody said, the scientists said, the agricultural consultants said, it's not going to work. The neighbors said, oh, you're going to go bust pretty soon. This is not going to work. But as a family, we stuck together, and so each of us, each of the family members tried to figure out a different way how to make it work, and then we exchanged the ideas, and so this is how we then made this non-plow-based system, or this no-till or minimum-till, no-till system work. And this is started in the 60s. I was the oldest. I decided, I had 4 more brothers. They also decide, this is the farm where I grew up, where my brothers grew up, that we decide we're all going to be farmers. And not only that we're all going to be farmers, if we're going to have a farm, I want to have a big farm, and I want to be a no-till farmer. I knew that there was no machinery available, so okay, it doesn't matter. Well, if there's no machinery available, we're going to build the machines ourselves. So this was the dream of a 15, 16-year-old back in the 70s. So my personal history is not very nice. School has decided that they couldn't deal with me anymore with the age of 15, so I had to leave school. So there was no way to go to university and whatsoever, so I decided I'm going to go on my own. I walk away. I go to North America and try to become a farmer there, because in Germany there was no land available in these days. Didn't take very long, about 2 years I came back in the 70s for a short stop at home, because I wanted to immigrate to North America again, but the government of Germany didn't give me the permission to leave the country. But in the meantime, I heard my brothers, my father and uncles talking about, oh, somebody has to come up with an idea about a seeder that can put the seed underneath the straw. You know? And so I had this idea, as long as I was working in farms in North America, I had an idea. Coming back, I said to my father, hey, I have an idea, I want to build a machine. And my father said, hey, go ahead. And then my uncle found out, and he said, what, you're building a seeder? Build me also one. I said, do you know what I'm building you? He said, I don't care what you build me one. You know? As long as somebody does something, do it. So this is how I started in 1981, building my first machine and renting basically the workshop of my father. This was this building here. I rented just a workshop. And so I started basically building machinery only for the family. Never had the intention to build a company. And this was my first machine in 1981, 82. It was a no-till seeder, so-called a funny machine. And I built a couple of those machines for the family. And then I decided, hey, I was 21 years old when I built my first machine. I built it all myself, drawn it up all myself. Had never learned anything, ever taught everything self-taught. And it started to work, maybe not very good, but it worked. And I said, hey, this is maybe a way to make money to then buy a farm. So that was the plan. So this was basically the plan to start a small company, producing these machines, and try to convince other farmers to stop plowing, buy this machine, and go into a min-till, no-till system. The problem was, the family was big. I sold quite a bit of machinery to the family, but once everybody in the family had a machine, I talked to the neighbors, and the neighbors said, we're not interested. We're not going to stop plowing. No, we're not going to take this risk. So I had a nice plan, but all of a sudden I found out that plan would not work, because there was no business. So I had an idea, but there was no customers. And so I had to figure out ways how to convince one farmer after another farmer to change his cropping system, to change his mind by visiting our farms at home, where I came from, walking the fields, looking at the fields for 15 years not plowing, that they could see, oh, it works. That then slowly, one after another one, would start to buy a machine from us. It was very hard marketing work. And we call this educational marketing. And what I'm doing today is still the old way, what I did 40 years ago from a need. Trying to convince farmers first to change their thinking before I try to sell them a machine. And so this is what we're still doing today, only in a bigger way. And it didn't take very long. The tractor we had, the biggest tractor we could buy was a John Deere 4430. Maybe some of you know it, 150 horsepower. And then we tweaked on the fuel injection pump, and then we blew up the engine, and Uncle blew up the engine. And we said, hey, this is no good. We need a bigger tractor. So a year later, I built my first tractor. It was a three-wheel tractor, 350 horsepower. It was a self-propelled seeder with very low ground pressure. And we caught a lot of attraction with this tractor. When we went to farm shows, there was lots of people coming to our stand and say, oh, look at this machine. But nobody wanted to buy it. They all looked at it. You know? And So anyway, I'm not going to go through everything we built in the last 40 years, because then you must stay here for 2 days to go through all these products. I just want to give you an idea where we come from and what drives us. It's not the machinery side. It's basically looking at the crop farm, at the cropping system as a whole, and trying to be more efficient and better at it. And then that way develop machinery. It's not the other way around. And around 1980, a local agricultural university and some crop consultants came to my father and asked him and said, Mr. Horsch, when we found out in the 60s that you and your brother stopped plowing, we were betting that the whole family Horsch will go bankrupt within 4 or 5 years. So now, after 15 years, you're still there, you're still growing your farms, you're growing crops, and it looks like you're making money. What have you found out what we, from a scientific point of view, don't understand? Can we do trial work? So they went to my father and my uncle and took certain fields and made trials. Like, the trial was always the same. They took 1 hectare where they said, you continue to farm it the way you farmed it the last 15 years, which was more or less just 5 centimeter tilling or little tilling and then no tilling into this mulch. Then I took another hectare to it, which they mixed, deep mixing with a chisel plow, you know, mixing for 15, 20 centimeters. And then they took 1 hectare next to it, which they said, we do it the way it's supposed to be, plow it every year. So this was a trial being done on my farm, or on our farm at home, for 10 years. And after 10 years, a Professor Dr. Bauchens came. Am I too fast or too slow? It's okay? Is the translation okay? I don't want to ruin the translator, you know. Make sure he has enough water, please. But no wine, you know, no Spanish wine, because your Spanish wines are better than the French wines, and if you drink them, you get headaches, you know. But not because they're bad, because you drink too much of them. So after 10 years, this Professor Dr. Bauchens, he came with a couple of students, and square meter by square meter, he took formaldehyde. You know the chemical formaldehyde? You know, when you smell it, tears come out. So when you pour it into the earthworm holes, I mean, the earthworms basically start getting tears and come jumping out of the soil, you know, come rocking out. And this is how you get the earthworms out of the soil. So, and the outcome was basically, they found out when you plow, this is how much you have. When you min-till, this is how much you get. And then the way my father farmed was 4 times more earthworms than what the plow did. That's what they found out after 10 years of plowing. For me, as a young entrepreneur, this was the proof that I'm going the right direction, that I have to save the world of farming by convincing farmers, stopping plowing, and working on healthy soil. Because the earthworm is nothing else than an indicator for healthier soil, for more humus, for more organic matter, for more bacterial life, and whatsoever. So I knew with the age of 25 or whenever that was, because I was already going, that I had a vision, and this is a proof of a vision. So today, my company is still based on this vision. After 40 years, we still have this vision in our company. The vision is healthy soil and highly efficient farming. Bring this together. And today, to make it quick, we are in modern seeding and tillage, probably by revenue, #1 in Europe, by revenue, based on this vision. I just want to get the young people here. Never start a business without a vision. Vision is a bet. You can lose a bet, you can win a bet, but never do it without. Only for money, never do it. Never ever do things for money. Have a vision first. So now, the vision was healthy soil, till today. Just keep that in mind, because I want to build on this. And quickly go through our company today. This is only going to take 2 minutes. I don't want to stop too much on this. Today, we're a worldwide company. We're selling our equipment in those countries, in North America, a lot of it in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe, which is our biggest market, some in South America, some in Africa, Australia. So we are all over. But we mainly deal with larger farms, larger farming operations, and the modern farmers. The company is run and owned and managed by the three of us. My younger brother, which is the CEO today, which joined the business in 1995. He's one of the four brothers, which I said, you better work with me. He said, I'm not going to work for you. I'm going to be an equal partner. Then I come with you, work for you. Otherwise, I go farming, because he's also a trained farmer. And my wife, she's a trade-in. She's French. I trade her in because her father was the first customer in France. So I trade her in by basically giving her father a machine, and she was a trade-in. Yeah. And so the two of them run the company, and I'm more or less, I'm the entertainer. This is, you remember the old farm back there? This is also the house where I live in. This is the farm where I started, and so we built our headquarters around the farm. But the most part of this piece in here is engineering. It's all over there, engineering. We have altogether about 140 engineers, and only on this side is a little over 100 engineers. And those engineers are all controlled between my brother and myself. So every single machine we develop goes through our head, goes through our hands, and goes through our drawings. Every single machine, still today. So we don't let anything happen without us being involved. That means we travel a lot, we do a lot of thinking, and we do a lot of design work. And what's very important is the distance from the bedroom to the engineers, where you sleep. I have only about 150 meters from my bedroom to the engineers. My brother has about 250 meters to the bedroom of the engineers. Why is this so important? Because the best ideas we always have between 2 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, you have to run fast to stop the engineer. Stop, 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 stop. You're on the wrong track. Let's go the other track. This is what we still do today. I do this for 40 years, and I still do it today. I did it actually this morning. I did some drawings again, because I have some ideas which I sent home already. But when I get home tomorrow, I want to see something in the prototype shop. And we have 4 areas where we're highly specialized. The biggest area is seeding. And in seeding, we have probably, from all the manufacturers in the world, the largest product range of any type of seeder, like single disc, double disc, no-till disc, min-till disc, tine seeders like parallel tines, rigid tines, wide tines, narrow tines. We have a whole range of no-till, min-till, and well, some semi-conventional seeders. Working with this anywhere from 3 meters to 24 meters, tank sizes anything from 1,000 liters to 40,000 liters. So we do everything, all computerized and whatsoever. We have a whole product range of all kinds of different seeds, because we work in so many different areas in this world. Different soils, different climates, different farm sizes, different crops, and so on and so on. Then the second part is planting. We're in the planting business for soybeans, corn, sugar beets, and so on. There we're more in the larger planters, 12 row, 16 row, 48 row. This is where we're specialized in. We're not so much specialized in 6 or 8 rows planters, which is pretty popular still here in Europe. This is not yet our market niche. Our market niche is more the larger planters. Then we have a large spraying program, pull-type sprayers and self-propelled sprayers. And there we're also at the high end, not at the low end, at the high-end sprayers with self-leveling booms that automatically level up to 30 centimeters on top of the crops, so automatically following contours and so on. We're very good at this. And then we obviously have a large product range of compact discs and chisel plows, tine tillage tools. We have no plow, but everything but a plow we have, a wide range of tillage tools. But we are, again, with all this product range, we're more concentrating on the professional, larger farmer. We're not so much concentrating on the small peasant farmer that doesn't want to spend much money and has small tractors and small equipment. We're not so good into this segment. And with this segment, we employ not quite 2,000 people today. As I said, we are all over the world. We have altogether 6 plants. This is 4 of the larger plants. This on the top is our largest plant in East Germany near Leipzig. This is a plant near Munich where we do the sprayers. This is a plant in North Dakota in the United States, in Fargo, North Dakota. And this is our plant in Curitiba in Brazil. And then we have another plant in Russia. We built a new plant in Ukraine. And then we have another small plant in China as well. So we're all over the world. And what we also do is farm. We have several farms in East Germany, in Czech Republic, and in France. This is a farm in France. Actually, this is where my wife comes from. So basically, this is a trade-in. This is also a farm which we use as a model farm for demonstrations and for bringing customers there. And altogether, we farm about 24,000 hectares in our family. And then out of that, we have about 6,000 hectares attached to the machinery business where we do research work. Those two farms are in Czech Republic, where we do controlled traffic farming and new cropping systems, robots, and whatsoever. And those farms are now run today by my two of my oldest sons. They run those farms. And as we speak, I want to show you a quick video. Next generation. Our next generation, between my kids and my nephews and my nieces, our next generation is grown up basically in the business on the farm. So none of my kids has ever seen the beaches in July and August. Never. What have they seen? This is, can we slow this down? No. You have to slow. Stop. So anyway, this is two of my sons and one of my nephew and an operator driving the combines. So those 4 combines harvest 6,000 hectares a year. It's all 12 meter. In a good day, they do about 1,500 tons of wheat they can harvest. That's what my kids are doing. And they love it. For them, it's sports. Yeah? And that way, they also train the tractor drivers, because we never have a tractor driver that shows us how to drive a combine. We show them how to drive a combine. We show them how to drive a tractor. We show them how to set a machine. We show them how to put the grease in there. Because never ever let the tractor driver tell you how this should be done. You know? And this is what my kids are learning today, before they come back and run the business. Hopefully. Well, not hopefully, that's what the expectation is. And so anyway, just give you a little understanding that it's not only us, it's also our next generation has the same injection like I had from my father in the 60s when he said, no, when everybody says it's not going to work, we'll make it work. So it's as a family, basically, we stick together. It's not one-man show, it's a family show that we basically run, just to give you an idea who we are. So anyway, now let me talk about what I actually want to talk about to you today. You know this argument, 10 billion people by 2050. You hear this from the likes of Syngenta, from BASF, from John Deere, maybe New Holland also says that. Everybody says it in industry. You know? Oh, we have to save the world. We have to feed the world by 2050, 10 billion people. The only way to do this is produce more and more and more and more and more. So everything we do, we have an excuse. And then, I don't know how it is in Spain, but if you go on the street of Munich, of Paris, of Berlin, and London, and somebody talks to you and you say you're a farmer, and he will right away respond to you and say, what you do is bad. He will not even talk to you. He's saying, bad. Maybe in Madrid it's the same thing. So, and then we say, yes, but please, understand, all I'm doing, I want to feed 10 billion people by 2050. Understand me. No, I don't understand you anymore. What I want to say here is, please, let's stop using this argument. Never, ever use this argument anymore in the public. The public doesn't want to hear this anymore. And maybe there's a complete different solution than this. And we don't even know about it. But it's already happening. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So forget this for a while. Because if I would have been standing here 4 years ago, I would have said, hey, this is our future. Within the last 4 years, I've changed my mind and say, no, this is not our future. Our future is something different. That's what I want to talk about. Before I do that, kannst du mir ein bisschen weiter, dass ich nicht mehr hingehen muss, wenn ihr das sagt, weiter. I want to basically try to, how to say, to explain a little bit better what's going on in our social media. What is being talked about. I suppose even in Spain it's been talked about. Some things that have been talked about from the public, I call it lifestyle talk. What's lifestyle? No GMO, say no to GMO. It's lifestyle. Is there a proof that GMO is bad or good? Genetic modified organisms? Probably there's not that much of a proof. People just don't want it. So it's lifestyle. Can I say, but you must want it? No, we have to accept it that they don't want it. They may change lifestyle in 10 or 20 years from now, but they don't change today. That's lifestyle. Another lifestyle fact is no to glyphosate. We have a no to glyphosate in Europe now. And it looks like that there's a chance that within the next 2 to 5 years, we have a ban on glyphosate in all of Europe, also in Spain. So we better get ready for it. I don't want to believe it myself, but I better be ready for it if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's fine. But if it happens and I'm not ready, I have a problem. But it's lifestyle. Go on. A big thing right now in Germany is bee dying. Big thing. If you put in the social media, I talk about bee dying, everybody listens. Oh, yes, 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 I want to listen about bee dying. Now we have the honey makers and the bee protectors basically using this argument not only to get attention from the public, to talk about other things. About glyphosate, about chemicals residuals and whatsoever. They don't talk about bee dying, they only say, oh, the poor bees, listen to me. But I want to stop this, I want to stop chemicals, I want to stop fertilizer, blah, blah, blah. Has nothing to do with bee dying. But they use it. It's lifestyle. Animal welfare. We have animal welfare terrorists in our country. They want us to stop everything. When there's more than 2 pigs in a crate, it's called animal terrorism. You know? They want us to stop it. I mean, if you have 1,000 bees in a box, I would call it mass animal care. Okay? Nobody talks about that. But what do you want to do about this? This is what the public wants. The public doesn't like to see us having lots of animals in one barn or inside. They want to stop us. So we better listen to it. We shouldn't say no, no, no. Organic farming. By the way, I'm also partly, in our farms, we're also organic farmers. Some of our farming is organic farming, and we're actually increasing our organic farming part. But we also know organic farming is lifestyle. Is not much driven by facts. It's lifestyle. People just want it. If they want to pay for it, yes, we do it. The ones that don't want to pay for it, they can eat something else. Vegetarian. Big thing with young people in our part of the world. It's lifestyle. If you have a daughter that's a vegetarian, you want to convince her she should eat meat, try it. She won't. She rather walks away. She will not listen to you. Huh? It's lifestyle. So what can you do? Vegan. It's also lifestyle. We have to accept lifestyle. And lifestyle is also business. Let's not say it's all bad. Let's also say lifestyle is also business opportunity. Whenever you have an idea to serve this lifestyle needs, better do it. Because there is where people are willing to spend money on. So we should not ignore it. Now, what are facts? Humus, climate. Building humus is good for the climate. Decreasing humus is not good for the climate. How do we decrease humus? Intensive cropping system, intensive tillage, very short rotations. That's how you decrease humus. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the farmers who are not here today. You know? I know that you do everything right. I'm talking about your neighbors who are not here today. You know? But you know it. Sometimes we do things that maybe if you look at that, we shouldn't be doing. But we do it for quick profit. Building humus is not that easy. And building humus and being profitable is probably, it depends on the climate zone we're in, it's sometimes very hard. Nitrates in groundwater. You can measure it, and if it goes above a certain standard, a certain level, it is no good for our body and is no good for our health. It's facts. There's nothing we can do about it to say, no, 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 ignore it. It's facts. High blood pressure is fact. International health organizations are coming out with more and more studies every year that the last 50 years, the percentage of people with high blood pressure is going up, not down. High blood sugar, same thing, is going up, not down. Overweight. Is there anybody in the room that wants to gain weight? No. So it's going up, not down. That's a fact. That's not lifestyle anymore, it's facts. Chemical residuals, which you can find through regular laboratory tests in our grain, in our milk, in our cheese, even in our olive oil. You can find it. It's a fact. Now you can argue, should we ignore it or should we not ignore it? This is another thing. But first of all, it's a fact that you can find it and that people are out there that are concerned if you find it. It's a fact. Here's an example. This is from a bee. You know this, what do you call this little square where you have the bees put the little pockets, put the honey in? There's a part where they put the pollens in. You know the pollen? And that pollen part, you run this through a laboratory test. This is what you find in pollen in a beehive. I mean, all the possible chemicals that are out there that we'll be using, you find small traces in this. Should we be concerned when we see that, or should we say, forget it? If you would have asked me 3-4 years ago, I would have said, forget it. Today I know we should be concerned. Even though it is not harming the people, we should be concerned. Because there's many people out there, when they see that they're very concerned. An interesting one. Here. This, if you take a classic mixed muesli from Lidl and Aldi, they're also here in Spain or the other supermarket chains, and run it through a laboratory test, you most likely find about 23 different chemicals. Most of it is fungicides, a lot of it is insecticides, some is hormones, and very little is herbicides, by the way. It's more fungicides and insecticides what you find. So whoever thinks the healthiest food in the morning is a muesli, you have the highest chance to get the full set of chemicals with your first meal in the morning when you do this. The interesting part is, guess who has given me this list? Guess it. An NGO? No. One of the main buyers from Lidl, Mr. Lamprecht, he's in charge of 24 billion euros buying power from Lidl, has given me this list about 1.5 years ago and said to me, look at this is my problem every day, and you as a farmer don't care. You as a farmer don't care. And he's right. He is looking at it every day, and we don't care. Yes, you can say the numbers here, the milligrams, it's fine. But nobody yet has looked at the whole. What is the counter reaction when you take the whole? Okay? So what am I telling you? I'm telling you that supermarkets coming now directly to us farmers around Nestle, around the food producers, and ask us farmers, do you know what's going on? And what can you do to change that? I'm going to talk about this a little later. But what I want to get at now on this list, what is the least toxic product on this list? The least, and by far the least. What is it? Glyphosate. So, but the European public wants to take glyphosate away first, which is the least toxic on this list. Isn't that crazy? But what can you do about it? The social media and the public has decided, we think it's the worst product that's ever been used, glyphosate, let's stop it. Can we do something about it? Probably not. Interesting. The speech I'm doing to you, I've done many, many times. I've done to large soybean growers in North Brazil. I've done to redneck farmers in Iowa, Illinois, you know, in the heartland of North America, you know, America first, you know, people. I've done the same speech. And I have a business there, and I have also a small farm in Bloomington, Illinois, in south of Chicago, which I go there in 6 weeks from now, and do speeches like this to many farmers, to real redneck farmers, yeah, real ones, real strong. Me Americans, we know it, you know. Corn and bean farmers. And they listen. It's also interesting. They also listen just like you. They would not say, go away, we don't want to hear this. Everybody wants to listen to this. And I actually be invited in May to do another 3 speeches in front of the largest soybean growers in SLC and Maggi, in Mato Grosso in Bahia, in Brazil, just because they heard from other people this speech and they want to hear it again. The largest ones. They're all listening. They don't say, go away, we don't want to listen to this. You ruin our business. No, 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 they want to listen. Anyway, and one of my marketing guys in North America, Jeremy Hughes, he's a real redneck, yeah, good authority, hamburger and steaks every day, and he loves Trump, you know. And he was listening to speeches when I was giving them. And then he always said to me, oh yeah, well, Anyway, 2 weeks later, he went to the doctor and had his urine tested. And then he sent me an email 3 weeks later and said, look at this. The average level of glyphosate you find in an average American is this. The average glyphosate level you find in the average European is this. And my employee, Jeremy Hughes, had twice as much as the Americans had. And so now I got even a real redneck concerned. He was really concerned. Oh, now it's me that has this high level of glyphosate, because he eats nothing but hamburgers and steaks and so on, all around already corn in there and rounded with soybeans in there. No wonder that there must be a high level of glyphosate there. Okay? So anyway, I got a real redneck, even an employee of mine, concerned. So another picture. This is a picture from southern Brazil, Paraná region, where we have, as I said, we have a factory in Brazil where we build seeders, no-till seeders for soybean and corn seeding. And this is a smaller version. We also mainly do a bigger version. But this is a classic picture in the South Paraná region. It's just like here, like up Andalusia, very rolling country, but 2,000 millimeter rain. So erosion is problem number 1. So what they have to do is 100% erosion protection. So the erosion protection is a cover crop like this, fully covered the soil. And you don't want to destroy it at all. When you seed, you only want to seed in there and leave it. Bare soil like you and I have is impossible there. One rain, it's gone. And so all of Brazil and Argentina, they farm like this. They have been able the last 20 years to double and triple their humus content. So they are, when it comes to climate, saving the climate, they probably have done the biggest contribution to saving the climate in Brazil and in Argentina, the no-till farmers in farming soybeans and corn. Unbelievable. But what do they need to make this happen? Without Roundup, absolutely impossible. So if we ban Roundup in Europe or in the rest of the world, this farming is over. And they have to go back to erosion farming. Let the land erode, let everything erode. So it's interesting what we think, what our public believes, what is right and wrong. Let's start this.
Right now, like a blind test against meat with meat consumers, we're preferred 50-50. Prototype process is already.
This was 2 years ago in Silicon Valley. I took my management team there and some of my kids, and we visited several companies in Silicon Valley. And one was this company in near Palo Alto, next to Facebook.
Brown.
This is a hamburger.
Can you do
a real hamburger. It's real meat. It smells like meat, it tastes like meat, and when you eat it, it is meat. But you don't have to kill an animal for it.
You're Pat Brown.
He is the founder.
You do something entirely different. Why don't you tell people what that is? But related.
Well, right now, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Impossible Foods. The mission of the company is to replace the most destructive technology in the world, which is the use of animals as a system for turning plants into meat and fish and dairy products, by making the best meats and fish and dairy foods in the world directly from plants.
Stop, nix, mach gar nichts. Ja, das war. Did you hear what he said? He has a solution for the most destructive technology. Most destructive technology for me is an atomic bomb. For him, it's the use of animals to kill them and eat them. Isn't that interesting? But if this is North America, if this was 20 million or 30 million Germans listening to this talk show, how many of these 30 million Germans listening to this talk would have liked what he said? 1 million or 29 million? More like 29 million. If it was 30 million Spanish people, probably it's the same. So anyway, he's saying something that people like to hear. What I have seen there, I couldn't believe. I got to know him. He's a real cocky American. Cocky, but like he talks, yeah. But what he did is facts. Basically what he did, he got the money from Bill Gates, from Mark Zuckerberg, and from Larry Page, you know, the founders from Google and Apple and Microsoft. Lots of money. And basically, he's a food scientist. What he did is he analyzed the molecule structure of beef. And then he said, each molecule I find in a piece of meat, of beef, I should find in the feed that the animal has eaten, which makes sense. So then he did the same study on corn, on soybeans, on potatoes, and coconut, and whatsoever. And then he found all the molecules he found in the meat, he found in the feed. Then he said, what if I basically simulate the action of a stomach with fermentation, with bacteria, with enzymes, and so on? That's what he did. And he showed us that. Basically, he had lots of big pots, you know, for fermentation, like you do your olive oils or wine or whatsoever. This looks the same, you know, stainless steel pots. And he basically extracted the molecules through fermentation. Then he dumped them in a pot together, stirred it up, and then he had a special fermentation. It's called heme fermentation, where he makes the blood through fermentation. And then he pours the red blood into it, and all of a sudden you have a structure of a hamburger patty red. You smell it raw, it smells like raw meat. You eat it, it's like raw meat. You fry it, it is like sizzles like raw meat, like meat. You eat it, it's meat. And then he said to me, I have a solution for replacing using animals to kill them and eat them by not having completely to stop eating meat, but not having to kill the animals anymore. And it's all organic. It's no chemicals involved. No chemicals involved. And then he said, I want, in the next 5 years, so it's 2 years down the road, so it only has 3 years to go, but probably it doesn't get there. I want 10% of the American beef market in the next 5 years. 10%, which is 35 billion, so he wants $3.5 billion business, which is a little bit tough to get. But I looked at the website, he's moving on. He's moving on because money is no objection. He has all the money he needs to scale the business. Billions of dollars he wants. He has it. So what I'm telling you here is, this is a way to disrupt some of our business. The good news is, they still need soybeans, they still need corn, they still need wheat, they still need potatoes, but they may not need so many animals anymore. That's the only difference. You understand where I'm coming from? And we should take that serious. We should not say, forget it. It's not, doesn't mean anything. I mean, just look at it. Let's just look at it from a different point of view. Each of you has a piece of glass in front of you or in the pocket. You have one too, huh? Yeah, we're probably the same age, you know? So we're old buggers, huh? And we have a piece of glass. This piece of glass is 500 weeks old. Are you aware of this? 500 weeks only. 500 weeks ago, none of us in this room knew that we ever would take our finger, grab into our pocket, take a piece of glass out, and take a piece and move the finger around on a piece of glass and have every possible information that's available on the internet on the tip of our finger. If somebody would have told you that 500 weeks ago, you and me, you'd have said, crazy, no way. And now we do it. Now, almost 40% of the population is connected with a piece of glass, 24 hours a day. Isn't that crazy? And where does it come from? Silicon Valley. Where does this come from? Silicon Valley. You with me? So what is Silicon Valley doing with us in the next 500 weeks? If there is a huge, huge business model based on a very simple demand. Again, I ask the question, is there anybody in the room that wants to gain weight? Nobody. Here's the business model. What can they contribute to make us change our diets to not have to gain weight, actually lose weight? And it's not about gaining weight and losing weight, it's about health. Let's go on. Let's go back. You want to still listen to this, or is this too complicated for you? You okay with this? Or you want to drink and have Andalusian ham and so on, you know, and wine? Very good. By the way, it is very good. I can tell you. You don't have to tell me. Look at this here. I gained this the last 1.5 days here in Andalusia. If we go back 150 years ago, 150 years ago, this was, by history, if you talk to an historian, this was about the time where lots of farmers became free. There were no slaves from dukes and lords anymore, and that they started, it was basically the start of innovative farming. Let's call it innovative farming, because they became entrepreneurs. 150 years ago, the three highest level food products, meat, milk, and sugar, were only available for 1% of the population to have access to it every day. 1%. Not 100%. So your and mine great-great-great-grandfather had an absolute clear call from the public in Spain, in Germany, in North America, everywhere in the world. The call was, produce more and more and more and more and more and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And what are you and me doing today? We're still working on that call. We're crazy. Because when I ask you, do you want more weight? Everybody says we don't want more weight. Where does it come from? It comes from overeating too much of this. This is the facts. So actually, we are completely stupid. The public in Madrid, in Paris, in London, in Munich is all mad at us. Everything we do is wrong. And we continue to do the same thing like our great-great-great-grandfather does. Produce more and more and more and more and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper every day. It's absolutely stupid. Because what have we achieved? We have achieved that today we have the highest level of people with blood pressure ever, the highest level of people with blood sugar, with high cholesterol and overweight. Those are the modern diseases in modern societies. And the health industry loves us. The doctors, the pharmacies, they love us. The drug manufacturers like Bayer and Pfizer, they love us. Because every day we contribute to more and more fat people that have to go to the doctor. Isn't that crazy? We're absolutely stupid. And then we complain that we don't make enough money. Or no, you guys make money, but we don't. I don't know how you do it, but we don't. You better teach us how we make money. Because we don't make money anymore. So we make no money anymore. Everybody's against us. Everybody says you're bad. So we are not accepted in the public. And yet we have this problem. And we don't do anything about it. Let's go on. There's an interesting article. Spiegel is one of our famous newspapers in Germany. It's like Times magazine in the States and so on. There was a headline a year ago, in May a year ago, a headline in the newspaper: "We get older but not healthier." Says it all. So the health industry does everything to make us older, but not healthier. Isn't that interesting? The whole health business, it's a huge business, lots of money involved, huge money. We get older, but not healthier. It's a fact. So now, I'm going to talk to you today now about a new business model for us. Change our business model after 150 years. Because it's about time after 150 years to change our business model. Is that right? And what is the business model? We have to basically drive plant-based food diets. I'm not saying going away from meat. I'm not saying going away from sugar. I'm not saying going away from milk. Only reducing. And this is our business for the future. Plant-based food diets. What I just learned the last day and a half here in Andalusia, I'm very impressed about you farmers here, that you are actually already understand where this is going. Almond trees. Why is everybody putting up almond trees? For what? To produce more beef? To produce more milk? Yes, milk, but almond milk, not milk from milk. Or vegan cheese and whatsoever. This is what it is. This is where it's going. Almonds is a clear example for going in the right direction. This is one of the future foods one of the foods for the future, because it drives a plant-based diet. Quinoa? What is quinoa? You guys start to grow it. Same thing. Goes exactly in this direction. You're ahead of us. That's exactly right where it's going. Let's go on. So our future, gotta go on, what? Our future is healthy people. That's our new business model. My business model for 40 years was healthy soils, remember? And that's what I talk to my kids about. I say, if you take over the business from me and you base the business only on earthworm population and healthy soils for the next 40 years, you're probably going to lose the business. You have to, this is only the base of going for another new strategy, another new vision. Healthy soil is the base to actually build on the next level, which is called healthy people. And that's basically what I talk to my kids now. I say, if you want to continue to take on the business, please understand that the next vision you must understand, you must carry by free will is we do everything we do from today on that we make people healthier, which is the opposite of keeping people alive, what the health industry does. And making people healthier has only to do what you put in here. I have to give you an interesting story. Are you still with me, or are you getting tired here? You okay? Good, okay. Maybe you say, this, I don't want to hear this. I use a lot of times the train in Germany. There's a simple reason, because I lost my driver's license, not for drinking, because the car was going too fast, not me. And so, okay. So anyway, 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in a train, and across me, there was a nice elderly lady sitting across of me. And we started to talk to each other. Elderly was the same age as mine. Okay, then I said, oh, so I'm older. And I started to talk, what do you do? Okay, she was a professor, a business professor on the University of Freiburg, and she lives in Frankfurt, and she goes back and forth by train. And we went on and on. And then the question came, what do I do? And now listen to this. I've done it not the first time, I've done it many times. And I said, okay, Mrs. She's a very smart lady. Now I'm going to get you. I didn't say that I was a farmer. I said, I'm only interested in your health. That's what I want to base my business model on. She looked at me and said, huh, what is it? are you a doctor? Are you a nutritionist? I said, no, I didn't never went to university, so I cannot be a doctor. I'm a farmer. You are an organic farmer? No, I'm a conventional farmer, and I must tell you right away, I'm a farming in a very big way. And also I build big machinery. No, I don't want to hear this. Now I thought you're a very nice person. Now you tell me you're interested in my health, and now I can't believe anymore. I cannot believe this anymore. But now I'm curious. Now I want to listen to you. If I would have said I'm a farmer and I'm a machinery manufacturer, I would have spent 2 hours trying to stay alive. She would not listen to me. But because I said to her, I'm interested in your health, she would still listen to me. And it's not the first time I've done that. And then I did the same story like I did to you 150 years ago, sugar, milk, and meat, blah, blah, blah. And after 1 hour of talking, I have still contact with her. She said, that's the first time you give me a complete new picture about farming and food and where we have to go. Because I ended up with my discussion, I said, we don't need a discussion today how we produce food, organic or not organic or conventional. This is secondary, this is lifestyle. We first need a discussion, what are we going to eat in the future? And when we have a solution for that, then we can discuss, should we do it this way or should we do it that way? And that's the discussion we need in Europe. That's the discussion we need in the world. That's the discussion we need with everybody in the world. First is, what should we be eating? Should we continue to get more fat? That means more processed food, more sugar, more cheese, more meat, and so on, more and more and more of this, and have more high blood pressure and more heart attack and more cancers and Alzheimer's and whatsoever. Are we more interested in that? Or should we avoid this by not eating pills, by changing the food we put in there? And then, if we understand that, then we discuss, what is it? Yeah, go on. It's very simple. It has a name. It's called the Flexitarian Food Movement. It's not my name. It's already today, by statistics, the fastest moving trend in the world ever. Faster than organic farming ever was, faster than other movements were. And have you heard about this? The first time. It's interesting. You haven't heard about this, and already today, it's the fastest, biggest moving trend in the world. Flexitarian movement. What is a flexitarian? Flexitarian. Flexi. He still eats meat, he still eats cheese, good Andalusian pork, good Andalusian beef, good Andalusian cheese, or French cheese. French is second choice, okay? I know you don't like the French, but they're also not bad, yeah? But not so much. Instead, you eat more almond milk, quinoa, whole grains, whatsoever, pulses. You understand? This is what the movement is about this. We have exactly 1 billion hectares in this world of cropland. Cropland for corn, for soybeans, for rice, for wheat, for all the crops we harvest with the combine harvester. Yeah? 1 billion hectares. 600 billion we only use to produce what? Feed for animals. Corn, 90% of the corn goes into feed. 70% of the soybeans goes into meat. 50% of the wheat goes into the meat. So 600 million hectares goes into the meat. If this movement is going in the right direction, which it is, because it's already accepted, I'll give you some arguments in a minute, it means that pretty soon we are not growing 600 million hectares of feed for the animals. We might be growing only 400 million or 300 million hectares feed for the animals. And instead of that, we're growing more almonds, we're growing more quinoa, or pulses, or whole grain wheat, or whatsoever, new crops, which we eat direct. That's what's going to happen. And why am I talking about this as not only as a farmer, also as a farm machinery manufacturer? Because I have to change my business. So it has influence on cropping systems. What are we going to grow in the future? We need different seeding tools, we need different tillage tools, we have different rotations, we need different crops. Has ever anybody in this room thought, why Bayer? Bayer is a German company. has bought Monsanto. Why? They have nothing but problems. Problems over problems over problems. $66 billion for a company that's only, the revenue is 18 billion, so 3 times the revenue. And the last 4 years, the profits were going down in Monsanto. They still paid 66. Plus, they have lots of lawsuit cases where they probably pay another 10 billion on top. So it cost them maybe 70 to 80 billion by the time they own Monsanto. Why would Bayer ever do that? To know this, you have to study Bayer first. Where is most of the money coming from in Bayer? Drugs. Keeping people alive, not making them healthy. If flexitarian movement is the biggest movement in the world, probably the chief executive from Bayer should understand that there's something changing. And maybe I'm investing in the future, not in more drugs. In what? In different plants. Because what is Monsanto? The largest seed company in the world. It has the biggest seed bank of all kinds of plants in the world, which you can produce new foods. New plant-based diet foods. So that's what they're banking on. But you cannot tell this to the public. Because if you tell this your shareholder, the shareholder says, you're crazy, you're killing your existing business. I want quick money, quick money. I don't care about the next 20 years. So you have to do something what the shareholders don't like. It's called disrupting your business. Is Bayer the only one doing this? No, they're all doing it. Look at examples. This flexitarian movement, can we go on? It's so interesting. This is the CEO of Danone. Danone, you know Danone? Danone is the 3rd largest dairy processing plant in Europe. Look at his face. What do you see? A fat person with a big cigar, like Rockefeller. You know, I'm the big boss. What do you see? You see a well-trained body. He's skinny. So he personally believes in something. What does he believe? In a healthy body himself. And he's the boss of Danone. And he's a rather young person. So he went to university at the modern professors from Yale and Harvard and Paris and whatsoever. Modern professors. Not old professors. So he must have studied something where all of a sudden, because he's very smart, he ended up on the top of a big corporate company and making 10 million euros a year or whatever, you know. But you don't get the 10 million euros only because you're smart, also because you have a vision. And the vision starts with your own body, what you believe in. Health. Health is what you eat. And look what he writes. Do you know the company called Alpro? Alpro? Well, you should know, because this is probably the biggest buyer of almonds. Huh? Alpro produces almond milk, soybean milk, oat milk. Who owns Alpro? 100% Danone. Nobody knows. It just changed hands 4 years ago. Just like Monsanto is bought by Bayer. Shh, don't talk about it, but we do it. So he bought Alpro, not saying anybody that he owns it, because of what? He believes in a new change in diets. He understands the flexitarian movement. And he himself is the best example. Now look at many young chief executives on top of of chief executives, CEOs of big corporate companies. They all look alike. They all ride bicycle. They all are sportive. They all eat different foods. Some of them are vegans. Some of them are vegetarians. They don't smoke big cigars, you know, big fat cigars and whiskey in their hands and all the time. No, they don't do this anymore. So they all, and their own bodies already, and their own belief, their belief is already, we have to change the world by changing myself. So if I change myself, and I'm now the most powerful man in this company, I should better change the company also. It's happening. It's happening everywhere. Coca-Cola. Have you heard about Aldes? The new product, it's a shake. It's a vegan shake, Aldes. Who owns it? Coca-Cola. There's no Coke in there, there's no milk in there. It's all, almonds is in there, yeah? And soybeans is in there, and stuff like this. Coca-Cola invests in it. It's owned by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is buying one company after another company that does nothing but organic and flexitarian food. They don't say it, they invest in it. Amazon. You watch Amazon, the largest internet business in the world. They are now moving into the food business. Did you see it? They're in the food business. Amazon should sell the cheapest, junkiest pizza, ready meal pizza, you know, the cheapest chips and potato chips and hamburgers and whatever. What do? The opposite. The first thing they did, they bought for $10 billion a supermarket chain called Whole Foods in North America. When you ever get to New York or Chicago, whatever, and stay over in the airport for a half a day, go out of the airport and look for a Whole Foods store and walk for about 2 hours at Whole Foods store. Then you understand what they're investing in. Whole Foods. Has nothing to do with cheap pizza. Has nothing to do with hamburger. Has a little bit to do with organic, but also conventional. And Whole Foods store have kitchen courses. It's a supermarket that supply kitchen courses because people don't know how to cook anymore. So basically, what they do is they teach them how to cook better before then they sell them new products. That's Amazon. Amazon is investing in it. And I can give you one example after another one. Lidl. I'm in a think tank with Lidl. So I know the chief executives from Lidl quite well. And I have a meeting in 2 weeks again with them. It's in a think tank. So I get to hear since 5 years things from Lidl I couldn't believe when somebody would have told me this. But I heard it firsthand. 5 years ago, Mr. Gutzblom, he's one of the chief executives of Lidl. He's now left because of nervous breakdown, because he's overworked, that guy, but a very nice guy. He told me in one of the think tank meetings he told me, sugar is poison. A supermarket chain tells me sugar is poison? I said, you got to be kidding you. You got to be shooting yourself in the foot. This is business. The more sugar is in there, the more people buy. He said, no, it's poison. And he said to me, what happens to you farmers will happen to me one day. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, nobody will listen to you farmers anymore in the street because everything you do is basically wrong. If you have arguments or not, nobody listens to you. And he said, I wait till it happens to me. What do you mean by that? Well, he said, it probably won't take very long. Then the first young mother will come up to me and point the finger at me and say, it's your fault that my little baby walking in your stores on the same level of this baby there's Mars over-sugared chocolate bars, mueslis, and whatever. And so now I have already the basis of my kid of diabetes and high blood pressure and obesity. It's your fault. That's number one of a supermarket chain that is pushing over 100 billion euros. Telling me that 5 years ago. Can you believe this? Guess what happened? 6 weeks ago, the largest sugar factory in Germany, South Sugar, closed 5 factories from 22. Why? Because what he said is happening. They take very slowly sugar out of everything, out of chocolate, out of Nutella, out of mueslis, out of shakes, everything, ice creams, very slowly, very small amounts they take out. Now, Aldi does the same thing, and I'm sure they do it here in Spain too. They don't tell you. This is new marketing. They don't tell it, they do it. Is it sugar only? No. They take also food enhancers out. You know the stuff you eat, so you eat more, these chemicals? They very slowly take it out. They don't tell it. So they want to change your taste in Spain also. What you think in 10 years from now is good, tastes different than from today. Have you ever been to New York or Chicago and bought an ice cream? Have you had an ice cream in North America? The first sip you take is, sweet. So the Americans have a much higher level of taste of sweetness than we have, and you Spanish have. And even that is too high, what we have. So the sugar content, the sugar consumption is driven down by the supermarkets, not by the European Union and the lawmakers. It's the supermarkets themselves that make the decision. They come to us and talk to us farmers and say, what can you do to change the product and make it more healthier and take residuals out and take sugar out and blah, blah, blah. It's so interesting. It's so interesting that everybody of the big, and it's all young chief executives. Everywhere where you find very young bosses, that's where they start doing this. Young bosses, not new old bosses. Young bosses with modern education. Well, I don't know, you know the Davos Economic Forum? Yeah? I've been there twice. Very interesting. It's not the main forum where all the politicians are in there. The ticket costs 80,000 euros. They say, no, I don't want this. You know, where all the presidents in there. You don't need to go there. It's all around. Flexitarian movement, diet change, plant-based diets is a big topic in Davos. You go from one stand to another stand and they start to talk about this. And we sit here and say, why should we change? I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about others who are not here today. It's all happening every day. So, another thing I want to quickly talk about. Pretty soon I'm finished. Or are you done here? You want me to continue? Okay, good. Good. You know, we have this lifestyle business called organic farming. It's lifestyle. And probably it's also happening here in Spain as well, that you have a certain percentage of public that wants to buy organic. It's an interesting thing we're just learning in the last 6 months in Germany. Again, it's Lidl. Lidl that's done the first move. Lidl signed a contract with the largest organic farming group, Bioland, in Germany 6 months ago, by basically taking their products into their supermarket stores. Within 6 months, a colleague of mine runs a large dairy processing plant. He just told me that last week. He said, you wouldn't believe what's happening now. I couldn't believe that the demand of organic milk is going up like this. But what Lidl does is he takes the price down a little bit. He doesn't sell it for the full price, what it's sold on the organic market. He sells it for discount price. Yeah? So now my friend says, I don't know it yet, but I have a hard feeling here that maybe Aldi, Lidl, and Edeka and all the other chains, they are now moving in this direction. They say, why don't we only offer organic milk, fresh milk, and no conventional milk anymore? If there's enough supply. Not demand, supply. It's a supply problem, not a demand problem. Because we can change the people's mind. But just take the price down a little bit. Why can't you do this for other products? Just take the price down a little bit, and then all of a sudden people start to say, well, for this little more money I buy it organic. Not every store, but most every store. So again, it's the supermarket chains that all of a sudden can drive things completely around in a different way where we said, it never will happen. It happens. But anyway, organic farming to me is only one option, and I told you already it's a lifestyle option. If we all of us would go organic farming, we pretty soon will run out of fertilizer, organic fertilizer. Because where does it come from? Because we already start, for our organic farm, we start to buy chicken manure in Holland, 500 kilometers away, and truck it into our farms in Czech Republic, just to have organic chicken manure. So if you do it the same way, and the French people do it the same way, there's not enough chicken to produce enough manure to feed our land. So if we all go organic, we will have a nutrition problem. So that doesn't make sense. So it's still a niche market, the organic market. Even though it will be grow, it's a niche market. But what we see coming, this is what I do in my company now, we bank or we bet on another trend. We call it hybrid farming. Hybrid farming is basically the mix of conventional farming and organic farming. And we have some arguments here. I will show you in a minute what it means. And I think the more I talk about it, I'm not the only one talking about this. There's many other organizations talking about this. They say the most logical thing when we talk about facts, not lifestyle, when we talk facts, facts-driven, is hybrid. It makes more sense than only organic or only conventional. So what can it be? Show you some examples. Funny. This is a cousin of mine near Stuttgart. Stuttgart is a very densely populated area with lots of buying power. Lots of people that work till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, have lots of money, then go home, buy an expensive bicycle, and then drive into the countryside. Before they walked, they could only walk 1 kilometer. Now they drive 10 kilometers. Now all of a sudden they're in the countryside where they never ended up to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And when you're out there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with your sprayer, they stop you. And he said, what can I do? They all have bicycles now, they have no work, they stop at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at work, and they have the money, and they drive bicycles because they look at their body and their health, you know. And now they not go 1 kilometer, they go 10 kilometers away from home. And they ride in the middle in the countryside where I have my farm and my freedom. Now I have no freedom anymore. And he said, whew, every day I have big talks and police calls, stop sprayer, stop this and stop that. And one day he decided, I'm going to take the sprayer tracks, you know the tracks from the sprayer here, and plant flowers into it, which he does now, right now. So in all his wheat fields, he has every 36 meter a flower strip. Then what he did is he took the 4 nozzles behind the sprayer, he blocked them off, so he doesn't put chemicals on. He puts left and right chemicals on, and the middle not. And it costs about 5% of his land, so it's some money involved. The first year he did this, he did it in front of the most critical villages. He said, you wouldn't believe what happened. Within days, bicycle drivers came to the field, stopped at the field, asked my driver or asked myself, what is this? We like this. And he said, one day he was out there himself with a sprayer, stopping. A bicycle driver came by. Instead of saying, stop, 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 he said, Mr. Horsch, I like what you're doing. And he was out there with a sprayer. Isn't that interesting? The bicycle driver didn't see the sprayer. He only saw the flowers. And he said, oh, the bees in there, noise, this is great. This is biodiversity. It's so interesting how quickly you can influence public people and public mind. And a couple days later, a couple newspaper journalists came. Then it was written in the local newspaper. Then a local flour mill came and said, can I produce a special flour called Blütenkorn? So it's conventional corn, but with flowers. And now he says, okay, for the flour, I need about 1% more money to pay for all this. 1% for a flour with a special brand is nothing. 10%, 20% is easy to get. So now he realizes with what he did from a need, and he had no way how to solve this problem, now becomes a new business model. A very interesting business. I don't know how long it goes, but it's an interesting business model. People just like that. Now his neighbors are mad at him because now the bicycle drivers stop at the neighbor field and say, you must do the same thing like Mr. Horsch does. Stop the sprayer. Now the neighbors come to him and say, what do you do here? I have all the problems. Now he has all the problems. A very interesting project we are right now pushing as we speak. I don't know how far we take it. We call it grain zero residuals. That means like we grow a lot of winter wheat, milling wheat, and oilseed rape, colza, you call it. And we try to figure out a way in conventional farming that all the fungicides and insecticides and herbicides we use, that we use it in a manner so nothing you can find in the grain. Have you done this? Just try it. Just take from the combine samples from each field and send it in. By accident, you will find out that certain fields you find nothing in the grain, and next field you find everything in the grain, even though you have used the same chemicals. It's only a day difference. One day it rained, the next day it didn't rain. So it's something we don't know yet. But if we would know exactly when we put fungicides on, when we put insecticides on, when we put herbicides on, what is the chance that it will end up in the grain, or what is the chance that it will be decomposed and taken and degraded before it ends up in the grain? So what we do now, we start a monitoring system with our customers where we pay for the sampling. We pay because we want to do tests. We want to do it in a big scale monitoring, where we say, hey, send us in from each field a sample and the digital history from the field, because we need this too. And then we put it into a computer system and take artificial intelligence and digest it. And try to find out what is it that makes chemicals stay or go away. And I bet you, I presented this to my friends from Lidl. They said, when you have the facts and when you can show us that there's great wheat out there for flour that has 0 residuals, this is what we're going to buy and pay you more. They only wait for it. They say, let's go for it, let's go for it. It's so simple. But we all have to work together on this, because we have the data on our farm, in our computers, but we don't use it. We should start using it, and we should start bringing it together on a big platform and digesting it with artificial intelligence to come up with, whenever you make a treatment, you first push the treatment into the system and find out, oh, with this weather, with this humidity, with this wind, and with this stage, if I do this in this treatment, use this in this chemical, be careful, it may end up as a residual in the grain or not. And if you do that, then you separate your grains in your bins, 0 residual, some residual. Not more protein, less protein, 0 residual. This is probably the future. It's all about, I'm giving you examples about how to go about hybrid farming. Or other things, like we build large cultivation equipment, because sometimes we have herbicide resistances, like sulfonylurea resistances for blackgrass in wheat. We cannot control it with chemicals anymore. So we plant wide rows, 25-centimeter rows, and we cultivate fast, 12-meter wide machines fast. It's actually cheaper than using a chemical, but we still use fungicides, we still use fertilizers, so it's not organic farming, it's hybrid farming. And we save money, and we don't even drop our yields down. We're going from 15 centimeters to 25 centimeter row width. It has maybe a 2 or 3% yield difference, but I don't spend all the money for the chemical, which is also depressing the yield. So it's very interesting what you come up with when you think about this hybrid way. And the hybrid way, you directly talk to the supermarkets, talk to the food producers. They love this word, and they only want to see the results. That's business. I quickly want to go through one more topic, but that's one I want to do very quickly. Because this is something I created quite a bit of grief in our industry the last couple of months with my colleagues from John Deere, from New Holland, from Amazon, and whatsoever. Because I made a comment early this year in the public. I said, digitalization in farming is history. And they didn't like that, because everybody's digitalizing, you know. When I said this, I meant something different. I said, whatever we from the farm machinery industry try to sell you in digitalization, precision farming, and prescription farming, made only one money, us, but not you. That's what I wanted to say. Very quickly, I want to go through something now. Let's go through this. Go back. Very quick, I show you something. Some of you, yesterday we talked about this, but I realized that you were interested in it, so maybe the other colleagues are also interested in it. We have quite some farmland ourselves in our family, and we do a very intensive benchmarking with large farms in Germany. This group is 250 farms, average farm size almost 1,000 hectares. They grow only wheat, rape, barley, and a little bit of sugar beets, so we're all very similar. And this group has a 70-year track record. So for 70 years, we are improving our benchmarking. And the benchmarking is based on, we have 8 consultants. They only work for the group, and each consultant has 30 members. So each consultant sees at least twice a month each of his clients. And he not only goes through numbers, he also goes through cropping systems, chemicals, varieties, which machinery to buy, what costs more, what costs less, and so they know everything. The interesting thing is, when you do every year we get together and do a benchmarking where we compare each other. And this is the final sheet. The final sheet from 100 sheets, from a huge spreadsheet. the interesting thing is, and I spend always 2 days a year looking at these numbers and comparing our numbers from our farms with the group members. And I call this come to Jesus meeting. Because every day, after these 2 days, you walk out like this. Oh man, I found out that some of my guys here had a better way to make more money than I did. And it's always depressing. It's depressing. Now look at this. We have 3 columns. You see, this is the smaller ones, and this is the larger ones. This is 1,500 hectare average size, this group. This is the 25% high producers, the 25% low producers, and this is the average. Go on. So the difference is in yield, wheat yield, 8.8, 5-year average, to 9.1 to 9.4. So this is only 500 kilograms difference from the low producers to the high producers, which is about, what is it, 100 euros? Not more, 100 euros. 100 euro difference. Now, let's look at the profit, bottom line. The low producers in average have a 237 euros profit per hectare. The high producers 671 and the average 439. The difference is 450, roughly. Not 100 euros. This is 100 euros and this is 450. So there's a 350 euro difference not coming from yield. Where does it come from? 350, not 35. Even for you guys, 350 euros is a lot of money per hectare. Growing the same crop, doing everything the same, having crop consultants going back and forth and sharing best practice from every farmer to every farmer. So every farmer in the group knows exactly what to do, what to learn from others. And why is it for 70 years still the same that the difference is 450 euros? It's always the same. Let's go on. I'll show you a quick chart here. This is a 5-year profit chart of those farms, of 250 farms, an average profit of 5 years. But what we do, so it's between 250 euros to 1,000 euros. This is the spread. Growing only wheat, barley, no sugar beets, no almonds, no olives, no special crops, only just normal grain. So it's very comparable. But still the spread is between 250 to 1,000. But then what we also do is we define between yield potentials, because some is on very marginal land, low rainfall, some high rainfall, good land. So it's like it's a 7-ton wheat equivalent, 8-ton, 9-ton, 10-ton, 11-ton. Go on. So what you find is always this. You find some guys here, but you also find a guy here with 750 euros on 8 tons, and there's a guy with 10 ton, and he's only 250 euro. So there's a 500 euro difference. But he naturally has more yield, but he still has less profit. I know those guys. They're my customers too. So it's quite interesting. There isn't a single farm machine manufacturer in the world that is sitting on both sides, both on the farming side and the manufacturing side. So I get to see the numbers and then sell them the equipment on the other side. So it's very interesting. This guy, he loves to hunt. He has a farm manager, he has a secretary, he has, instead of 2 combines, 3 combines, instead of 5 tractors, 6 tractors, everything new, and so on it goes. He always has a crop consultant to come in to do the test, look at the fields. And the crop consultant tells him what to spray. And he never takes a risk to spray little. He always sprays maximum. And on it goes. 500 euro difference. He is on marginal land, but he has 1 combine less. He drives 1 combine himself. He's always out in the field. He's always checking his field. He's always taking decisions in the field. And he's a multi-talent. Multi-talent. Now, the red dot, he's the one, this is the guy with the highest profits for the last 20 years or 15 years in this group. He's my friend, Dirk Drive. 3,800 hectares, not a small farmer. He has the highest profits of all, and he's the president of the group. So they make the best of the best the president of the group. If you would know this guy, you would love him, because he's so humble, you wouldn't even be telling, if we're looking at him, that he's so smart, because he's only ambitious working. And but he has not the highest yield. You see, there's one guy has more yield, but he's not the highest profit. You see that? It's not related to yield only. It's also related to, I call it, multi-talented managers. But one thing is for sure, this guy, if I call him right now, I probably will not understand him. Why? Is he sitting in the office? He's still in the field. He's still in the field, walking his field, checking for diseases, checking for weeds, checking for this. This is what he does right now, as I would call him. He's not in the office. And that's where the money comes from. Big money. It's big money. We're talking here millions of difference, not hundreds of thousands of difference between the same and 300. See, if there's 500 euro difference between one with 8,000 hectares and the other one, this is 2 million euros difference. 2 million, not 200,000. Now I'll show you something you may not like. Go on. What I did is, together with our crop consultants in this group, I said, okay, let's look at the level of digitalization, okay? And how do we look at the level of digitalization? It's very simple. What is the storage capacity of the farm computer, you know? Gigabyte, okay? So let's take the low profit group and say they have 100 gigabytes. So what would you guess, 3 times more profits, how many gigabytes must they have? 300, 400 gigabytes, okay? Okay, you with me? Look at the reality. Nothing. That's the reality. It's not nothing, they still have to. So what I'm telling you here, the lower the level of digitalization is, the higher the profits are. Why? Because he doesn't spend so much time in the office, he spends more time out in the field with his people, with machinery, with plants, with everything. That's the difference. And even digitalization, the last 10 years, with all these fancy systems, you know, drones and satellite pictures and computer programs and whatsoever, they also use them. They also use them, but very little. But the ones who use them the most spend too much time sitting in the office, trying to make decisions from satellite pictures and from whatsoever, and not going out in the field and making decisions. I know this. I know this from this group, and I know this from my own family. I see it. I've just gone through the last 2 years through some very bad times with my sons, where my sons have proven to me that digitalization is bad. My sons. And they took this digitalization level out and increased and doubled the profits. But what did they do? They only walked in the field instead of sitting in the office. And they kicked me in the butt. So that makes you mad. And because it makes me mad, I made this public comment that said, digitalization is over, you know, which everybody doesn't like from John Deere and New Holland and whatsoever. And so. But you understand where I'm coming from. So anyway, I want to close my speech here. I hope it was interesting for you, and hope it was not too much. And I'm sorry that I didn't show you too many pictures of machinery, because I could show you lots of pictures of machinery, but I think it's about time to finish and to go and start eating, but not flexitarian, good food. Thank you very much.
Sí. Bueno, primero, muchas gracias. Ya os he avisado que era distinto, ¿no? Porque la idea, el señor lo que tiene es una fábrica de maquinaria agrícola, os lo aseguro. Hemos estado, la conocemos, tiene 1.400, creo, empleados fabricando máquinas y se dedica a contarnos otro tipo de cosas. Bueno, avisados y tal. Luego contaros que nuestro trabajo, el de los comerciantes, que a veces igual que los agricultores también suele estar mal visto, lo más importante es que escuchemos. Nosotros nos dedicamos a escuchar. Escuchamos a señores como él, a fabricantes, y escuchamos a clientes, en este caso agricultores. Y entre lo que dicen unos y lo que dicen otros intentamos buscar y unificar. Somos el engranaje de las dos posiciones. Con lo cual, un ejemplo de nuestro trabajo, digo, no diario, pero que a menudo lo hacemos, es escuchar a personas como él, y cuando creemos que vale la pena y nos hacen caso, intentar que os lo cuenten en directo. Luego aprovecho para si alguien quiere hacer alguna pregunta, no sé si nos vendrá a ver muy a menudo. De todas formas, ayer visitando fincas y de las de Andalucía, porque conocía lo que conocía de España. Entonces empezó a visitar fincas y me hizo una frase en un momento determinado, porque como es, ya habéis visto cómo es, dijo, aquí en una finca preciosa, para mí era preciosa, a mí dice, aquí solo hay un problema. Entonces, coño, ¿qué pasa? Dice, que no es mía. Con lo cual lo que quiero deciros es que está encantado de lo que está viendo, para él todo es mejorable y para mí también. Y bueno, nada más. Si tenéis preguntas o queréis hacerle alguna pregunta, lo que os apetezca. Y si no, nos iremos a tomar alguna cerveza, que ya me he perdido si es bueno para la salud, si es malo, si también tenemos que dejar de tomarlas. Os dejo, si queréis alguna pregunta, aquí está el micro. Y si no, cuando estemos tomando la cerveza, el agua, carne por descontado que no, jamón he entendido que sí, menos mal, podéis preguntarle lo que queráis. Pues vamos para allá. Muchísimas gracias a todos por venir. Gracias.